Interact HRMS has 85 different modules, and what we're going to do is take you through all of those modules one by one with a little video for each and every one of them. We'll do this in a sequential and a logical manner, which means that we're going to start off here with position budgeting and control, which is part of the recruiting and hiring area. And then after that, once you've hired people, you can start doing HR administration, and we can do benefits management. We can start running their payroll, look at compliance, look at time and leave, self-service, talent management, and then at the end we'll also look at some of the system related modules. So starting off with position budgeting and control. In order to show you the logic of how position budgeting and control works, what we'll do with all these presentations is we'll take a look quickly at the setup area. That's where we define the general position budget process, the fiscal years that you're using, the grades and steps, and how this all works together. And then we'll look at how this actually works in real life. Okay, so you'll notice that there are a lot of functions here under the activity area that can be done when you're handling position budgeting. Obviously, the first thing to understand is that position budgeting is not a mandatory module. This depends on whether or not you require this. That will determine whether you're going to turn this on. Usually this is used in large organizations, government, higher ed, healthcare, and so on. You will notice that we can choose whether we want to have hiring against position budgets. So this will make it mandatory, which means that you cannot hire somebody if there is no available budget for that. You can choose whether you want your position numbers to be automated or whether you want to create them manually. The same thing goes for the position action requests, the fiscal year when you want to start your budgeting, the currency in which we're going to do financial budgeting for these positions, and so on. Let's say I put my worksheet submission deadline for the 30th of June. I'm using a US date format here right now. Then that means that all position budget requests must be entered by then for them to go through a normal workflow. You can do position budgeting by grade, or you can just do it at the position level. You can allow adding of positions for previous fiscal years and so on. There are a lot of settings that we can choose here, and we'll take a look further and see that you can choose your own grades and steps. This product is really flexible. Everything depends on what your particular needs are, so you can see that you can name them whichever way you want to. You can have unlimited number of grades and unlimited number of steps, and you can call them what you want. In some organizations there's no need for steps, in others you do, and maybe you will call them something else. It's all up to you. So once you have defined the naming convention, first of all, then you can go and set up the actual compensation elements that are associated with that. Now this could be based on a monthly salary, this could be based on an annual or semi-monthly or weekly or bi-weekly or hourly. It all depends on what you want. So here you see the steps that I have defined and the grades, and then I have the logical basic salary associated with that. And we can also do this at the job level, which means that you could actually have an entire different grade and step system for a particular job in the organization. That gives you a lot of flexibility, so it means that you really have multiple dimensions. You see, if I choose the job of accountant right here, I can define my grade and step salaries based on the job title, the degree level, and the number of years of experience. You can also choose compensation entitlements that are specifically linked to a grade or step. So here you notice that for a particular employee group or job category, I have the ability to go and define the minimum or maximum basic salary, but also any other pay element that we have in the system. And your allowances, for example, are all here. All your benefits, allowances, anything that we have defined in our compensation elements, earnings, allowances, and benefits can all be associated with minimum and maximum levels at the grade level within this company. This is how you can manage not only the basic salary but all other entitlements also at the grade level. So this grading system is tied to the position budgeting because everything ties into the budgeting in the end. Now once we have set this up, we will see that we can now start using our position budget worksheets, position slots, release positions that have been vacated, request new positions, eliminate vacant positions. There's a lot of things that can be done to manage this position budget. You can also change position attributes. You can transfer an employee to a vacant position. You can generate a new budget. You can you can roll it over from a previous year, and so on. Now, the logic that we have in the system allows us to define whether this position budgeting will affect the entire organization or whether it will be affecting only certain organization units. So once we have defined that organization structure, you will see that among the items that we can define for a particular organization unit is whether or not hiring will be controlled by the position budget, which means that in this case, once we turn that on, you will not be able to hire somebody under administrative services unless there is an available or otherwise vacant position number. So let's follow that example of the administrative services, and we will go and through the organization unit self-service we will submit a position budget worksheet. There is one already. The existing one was rejected. Now we will go and update this, and we will add a position for which we request budget. You notice that the system allows me to choose the grade for a particular position, a job title. This could also be automated. It depends really on how you want this to work. The specific columns that I have here that I can fill in are in fact optional. It depends on whether or not these are things that you want to use in order for the system to require them. Now once we have submitted this, it goes for approval. Now the approval workflow is user defined, so which means that the system will be configured based on the approval workflow that you're looking for. Now I'm going to go in and log in as an HR department user who is authorized to approve these position budget worksheets. You will notice that I have access to all position budget worksheets, specifically the one right here for 2017 coming from administrative services. And I will go in and approve this. Obviously, I could reject, provide a reason, and so on. There's a workflow that could go to multiple departments and users. I'm going to keep this very simple. So we've put in a request, and we have approved the request. Now, the next step is that somebody needs to go and create the position slot available for this particular position. In fact, we still have a vacant position from 2016, but that was not transferred to 2017. So we're going to start anew, and we're going to say for the administrative services for fiscal 2017, you notice there's only 2 positions available here. If we go to grade 1, because we have turned on the grade-based position budgeting, there is 1 slot remaining, and now we can have the system fill in the required basic salary here, or we can do this ourselves, and we can enter a budget for other earnings also, and say that this will start as of April 1st, and make this a domestic hire. This depends on the country in which you're operating, whether any of that is relevant. Now, the system has calculated the estimated budget, and I can now approve this. Now, this is the basic manner in which we can do that. There's another way to do that. Let me go and show you at a different level in the system. Here, if I look at it at the employer level, I will be able to define a lot more details for this particular position. Again, if you are in a government environment, you may need to, or if in a non-profit or other type of environment, you may need to track the fund source. You may need to track a position cost center. You may have a start and end date for this particular position. you can define a lot of additional details and go into detail on the specific earnings, allowances, benefits, bonuses, commissions, and taxes associated with this position. So you notice there's a lot of information. We can have multiple budget version numbers. We can track the budget as a result and see how much balance is there. And this will tie into our grant management and other modules. Okay, so it's very powerful position budgeting. Now once you have approved this position, let's say we keep this very basic and proceed with the current setup. So then if I go back to my login as the administrative services, I will be able to start, for example, requisitions. So when we go and look at the requisition process now as administrative services, which is one of the organization units, now you'll notice that I can go in here and choose only the job titles for which there is a position budget available, specifically accounts payable specialist, and there you'll notice that there are 2 position numbers that I have. Recruitment is typically dependent on local labor regulations, so the type of things that you can request in your requisition is very much dependent on the country in which you're operating. You can also add an external job description here and so on. We won't get into the other items of the requisition right now, but the main thing really is that the system is only offering me the 2 position numbers here. Now the rest of that recruitment process would be standard regardless of the position number, so we won't get into that right now. I will point out as a final item that, as I mentioned, you will have the ability to manage these position budgets, eliminate vacant positions, transfer these, change position attributes. Even if the position has been approved and is effective, you may need to request changes to a position. So here you notice that I can change a position budget or the funding source or the actual FTE that will be used to count that position, make a position permanent, or extend the vacancy. Once we select a position number, we will be able to modify all these changes, including particular numbers around the position. So it's a very powerful position budgeting solution that's used in large organizations, and it is also configurable to really handle the particular needs that any organization has, regardless of where you operate around the world. That concludes the initial overview of our position budgeting module.